Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast brought to you by our friends over at Briar Greaves Insurance. Protecting your assets starts the company that you can count on. So whether it's auto, homeowners, flood boaters, or business insurance, there's nobody better to work with than the great people over at Briar Greaves Insurance. For more information about them, visit their website, briargreavesinsurance.com, or give them a call at 813-876-4166. That's 813-876-4166. And for even more of an incentive to call Briar Greaves Insurance, if you give them a call and see how they can help you with your insurance needs, you will automatically be entered into a raffle to win tickets in the lower bowl section of Raymond James Stadium for the Bucs-Falcons Thursday night creamsicle game taking place in December, a little over a month from now. All you got to do is give them a call, and you'll be entered into the raffle to win Bucs-Falcons tickets for that home game for the Bucs, the creamsicle Thursday night game in December. So highly recommend doing so. Thanks to our friends over at Briar Greaves Insurance for this awesome opportunity. It's a Wednesday edition of the Pewter Report podcast, and with the Bucs returning from the bye, that means they have a game this week. And it's against a big-time opponent with the New England Patriots. Should be a really, really fun matchup, and we got a lot to get to with, obviously, the matchup against the Patriots, the trade deadline discussion, and, of course, injuries seem to rule the day with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So let's get into today's show. I'm your host, Matt Patera. Joined with me is the face that runs the place, PewterReport.com, SR, Scott Reynolds. Hello, Scott. How we doing?
Doing good. Excited to talk some Bucs football. The bye week was fun, but football week is even more fun. So we're looking forward to that. And it's more fun because this team is 6-2, and they've got kind of a surprising test ahead on Sunday. Nobody expected the Patriots to be 7-2 right now. Nobody. And they remind me a lot of last year's Washington Commanders team, right? New head coach, yet a head coach with some serious experience in this league. Young developing quarterback, high draft pick, and Jaden Daniels was the second overall pick in 2024. Drake May is the third overall draft pick, picked right behind Jaden Daniels. And they're kind of doing the Washington Commanders thing, kind of like start out of the gates hot, and they just haven't really let up. And they've had, some close wins, including one that helped the Bucs last week by beating the Falcons 24-23. And we'll see how good this Patriots team is. And more importantly, we'll see if this Bucs offense can get back on track. And if this defense can continue the momentum that it had displayed over the last couple of games, 15 sacks in the last 3 games, lots of takeaways, especially in New Orleans. And this will be, an interesting game, I think, from a kind of set the table standpoint for the second half of the season. They've got 3 tough games.
Yeah.
They've got the Patriots. They've got a game at Buffalo against Josh Allen. And then you've got the Matthew Stafford Rams in the third game after the bye week on Sunday Night Football. Can the Buccaneers go 3-0? Can they go 2-1? Will they go 1-2? Or is this a little slide that nobody sees coming? I can't wait to find out, Matt.
Yeah, this game is important to set the tone because certainly you'd love to go 3-0 against those 3 tough opponents that you just mentioned. And I think that would prove to everyone, Bucs fans, NFL fans, everybody, that, hey, the Bucs have been battle tested against some really good teams and have come out on top. And I think you want to avoid even the creeping thought of, oh, God, they could lose all 3 games, especially with the Carolina Panthers playing a little bit of better football. And, the Patriots, to me, this is a game that the Bucs, it feels to me that if they just play their own game, they should go out and win because the Patriots, they have won 6 games in a row. They've looked pretty good. But they went down to the wire against the Atlanta Falcons. And if the Falcons hit that extra point late in the game, who knows what happens. And I hear what you're saying about the Patriots reminding you of the Commanders of last season. I hate to say it, but they remind me slightly, and there are some differences, but a little bit like that first Super Bowl winning team in the Brady Belichick era way back in the day. Now, obviously, Drake May was a first-round pick, and Tom Brady was picked number 199, but we're talking about a veteran head coach with a pretty good defense. It was much more of a veteran defense with, Belichick back in the day, but a very stout defense and a quarterback that is now really putting everything together the way that, Tom Brady was starting to at the end there. So, I mean, this looks like a Patriots team that's going to be set up to be good for a very, very long time. But it does make for a great matchup. I think it's going to be very defensive heavy, in my opinion, based on what we saw from the Bucs against the Saints 2 weeks ago, but also based on what New England can do as a defense as well, added on top of Tampa Bay having their struggles over the last 2 games. That's definitely something to keep an eye on, is can they rebound from 2, I'll say, below average performances.
Yeah, for sure. And let's get to some injury news, because everyone wants to know what's going on with these injured players. Well, the Buccaneers did get some good news back, and we reported the other day Luke Gedeke is back at practice. He was limited today and looked okay, moving around. Buccaneers really weren't in pads today. The pads come on tomorrow, and that's really going to be where Todd Bowles evaluates what Gedeke looks like and if he's going to be able to go. A couple of things to keep in mind here with Luke Gedeke. Does he have any soreness in the foot? And we really don't know what type of foot injury it was. Todd Bowles is not very descriptive in terms of his doctoring abilities in terms of describing the medical issue. He'll say he's got a foot, he actually has 2, Todd, but details matter. But I think with Gedeke, it's the conditioning, right? It's supposed to be 81 degrees on Sunday too. So, if the Buccaneers have 65, 70 plays on Sunday, how is he going to fare? Is fatigue going to set in? I'm sure he's not going to be in the same type of game shape as, say, Tristan Wirfs, but at the same time, his body is not going to be as kind of beaten down and worn out as Tristan Wirfs. He hasn't played since week 2. So there is a little bit of a give and take there with Luke Gedeke. Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin, though, Matt. Todd Bowles said they're both running. That's encouraging, especially when you've got an ankle injury or a foot injury, I should say, to Bucky Irving. And Chris Godwin has got the fibula injury. But we haven't seen them at practice. The Buccaneers did not put either one on injured reserve. And now we're kind of like in the 4-game territory, where if they were going to miss 4 games, you just put them on injured reserve. And I understand the team kind of wanting and waiting to see if they're going to pop back up and heal up and be ready to go to practice. But that hasn't happened now. We're past a month since these guys have last played. And I can't begin to tell you when they're going to play.
Right. And I can understand if it's touch and go, because it kind of goes back to Tristan Wirfs in the offseason of like, hey, let's see how the knee feels before we decide if you need surgery. And then ultimately was, okay, you need surgery. So I don't hate the fact that, they're going to have to be out 4 games if you're trying to see maybe they can come back by that 4th game or whatever the case may be. But we're not even seeing them running individually on the sideline with the trainer. They're not even out there at all in any capacity. So I'll be honest, I'm very worried about this situation for the Bucs. Too. Really just for the fortitude of Chris Godwin Jr. and Bucky Irving, for their own well-being. I mean, sitting on the sideline has to absolutely suck, especially when you see this team playing at such a high level with the 6-2 record, and they're both so important to this team. It does make me wonder, like, why weren't they put on injured reserve, especially because, like, they just had the last week off.
Yeah.
You would think if it was something where, all right, like, I don't expect them to be out there tomorrow. It's like, I just needed one more day after, like, a week off. Like, I just needed Wednesday as well, but Thursday I'll be good. I just don't see it happening that way. And, now I don't know. I've kind of already in the back of my head, or maybe in the front of my head, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I've kind of moved on from Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin Jr. from this season.
If they show up, they show up.
Right. I'm fully planning like, okay, Rashad White's the guy. Sean Tucker's the backup at running back. If Mike Evans comes back for the playoffs, that's awesome because you have Emeka Buka and Mike Evans. I'm sorry. I'm not fantasizing about a world where Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin Jr. are main contributors for this team, at least up until after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Really. And you know what? If I walk out there tomorrow and all of a sudden there's Bucky Irving right next to Rachaad White, hell yeah, I'll be very excited about that. I just think Bucs fans have to deal with the reality right now of this is a team that I still think can get the job done, but this is going to be a team that is getting it done without their best running back and without one of their best wide receivers in team history, let alone currently on the team.
Yeah, and I think when you look at like Chris Godwin, for example, that injury was a very serious injury, right? Fractured ankle, dislocated ankle, and he's got plates and screws in there, and he's getting pain that's radiating up into the fibula, right? So he didn't necessarily break his fibula towards the top of the leg; it was down there by the foot. Similar, I think, what happened to Cam Scatterbo, right? I mean, very similar to that, just maybe like a different placement of it. But this is an injury that at age 29, and even when he came back and played those two games, right, the Seattle game and the Eagles game, he didn't look great. I mean, he didn't look like he was back and ready to go. And so, I mean, I'm not surprised that he's had this. I'm going to call it a setback, and that's my term, not the team's. But I'm not surprised by this, and I just wonder if he's ever going to get back to the player that he was. And what I mean by that is the guy that this team paid $21 million to. I have my doubts. I'll believe it when I see it. And I'm not trying to be a pessimist about this. I'm trying to be a realist about this. But, if you would have told me that it would have played out this way, that Godwin plays in week 4 and week 5, and then is not seen from for another month, I mean, I'd be really concerned if he's going to get back to that guy. I hope I'm wrong. I do. I'm not trying to be right here, but I'm just trying to keep it real.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I hope we're all wrong about Chris Godwin Jr. And it's not exactly an apples to apples type of comparison, but when Chris Godwin Jr. came back from his torn ACL a couple of years ago after he got busted up against the Saints, he still looked better in his return from that injury than he even did coming back from his ankle injury this season before he got injured again, with the fibula. And I do wonder, even though it's a different injury, if coming back from that first injury in week 4, if that kind of played into his new injury that has kept him out. But I don't know. It's life comes at you fast, right? Because we're looking at a daunting situation, and obviously we don't want to look too much into next season and the offseason because we're talking about a 6-2 Bucs team right now. But we're talking about Mike Evans being on the last year of his deal. He's not going to get 1,000 yards this year. So other than wanting to win a Super Bowl or maybe some other all-time stats, Mike Evans could easily be done after this season if he doesn't feel like he has anything left to play for. And now we're talking about a Chris Godwin Jr. that, again, excuse me, hopefully we're wrong. For the guy that isn't fully recovered. And then Jalen McMillan with the neck situation, that's a very, very docile situation. It's people have recovered, like JPP, as you mentioned in one of your stories, but it's also a very serious thing that I don't just think we could all be like, voila, he's back. It's Jalen McMillan of last season with 7-8 touchdowns in a row and all big plays. And we could be looking at a situation next year where is wide receiver a need all of a sudden after Emeka Egbuka and Tez Johnson? We might be looking at that situation once again, which is insane to think based on all of the depth. But again, the football is a very fleeting thing. And that's what we're looking at.
So here are a couple things about McMillan, and we'll get into the Patriots Bucs preview here because this is part of it though. We're talking about injuries and who's available to play, and I know that's on a lot of y'all's mind. The thing with McMillan is he was on the Ira Kaufman podcast. Todd Bowles was. And he mentioned that he had some fractures, and I, from what I gather, it's like a hairline fracture type of situation, right? But the main problem is that he really has super strained these ligaments in his neck, and that's more of a problem than the actual fractures. Those bones are going to heal. And what Todd Bowles said when asked today, Jenna Lane asked a question. I thought that was a very good question. I was about ready to ask it myself. Jenna beat me to it. Is, why didn't you frame this as a broken bone type situation? as opposed to a severe neck strain. Well, really, the severe neck strain is kind of the predominant issue. And both of those injuries, the slight fractures in the neck and the ligament strains, they're going to take the same amount of time to recover anyways. So it's almost like it's all kind of lumped into one. It's a neck strain. Yes, there were some fractures, but it's not like that compounds the situation or that's necessarily worse. From what I understand, it's kind of like they both are going to heal up at the same amount of time. And the neck is all one thing. It's the ligaments and the vertebrae itself. So I appreciate that. Also, I just wanted to say, I know there's some Jenna Lane fans out there, and there's some that that maybe aren't Jenna Lane fans. There's Scott Reynolds fans and some that aren't. Right? Some that like Matt, some that don't. But we do want to wish Jenna Lane a successful surgery. She's having some back surgery done. On Monday, and just want to send some prayers her way. It's if I can take about 30 seconds here. My mom got me into football, not my dad, not my stepdad. My mom did. Out of my 4 kids, the most rabid football fan of my family is my eldest daughter, Ellie, and so women in football to me kind of go hand in hand. And Jenna's a bit of a trailblazer. She works for ESPN, which is a major outlet, and she has reported on this beat. And she worked for Pewter Report way back in the day. She has asked a lot of great questions, and there's some questions that fans may disagree with. And you know what? I've been in those shoes myself. I've gotten chewed out by coaches over some of my questions. So I've been in the situations, but at the same time, she is a sweetheart of a person. And she's been dealing with a very severe back injury that's going to require surgery, and that's going to happen on Monday. So she's not going to be at one Buccaneer place for a while. But just want to send out some healing vibes and prayers for her, because it is a scary situation which she's going to have to go through. She's been trying to power through it. She's been a trooper for showing up and trying to do her job despite the pain. So just keep Jenna Lane in your thoughts and prayers, because she's been battling through this, and it's not fun. I've got a little bit of a backache. My backache is nothing compared to what she's had to go through.
Yeah, for sure. Well said, Scott. Definitely thinking of Jenna. She's been in a lot of pain this year, and she's kind of wearing it as well, and not complaining about it, and just going there and doing her job. So wishing her well. She is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. She's super caring. She'll chat with anyone. She gives general interest into people, and is happy to lend advice or chat with anyone, whether it's your first day there or if you've been there for 30 years as well. So she's a fantastic person and human being, and hopefully she gets a speedy and quick recovery. So
for sure. Well
big
said.
fans of Jenna Lane.
Yeah, we're big fans of the people who super chat us. We love everybody, but I mean, we love Mark Fisher too.
We will start it off with Mark Fisher. Thank you for this $4.99 super chat. How does Baker get, quote, back on track? Do you feel he was just off? Was it play calling, or is it getting the run game going even as we are still 6-2?
Well, I asked Baker today because I kind of had some suspicions, and he was under duress during that Patriots game, not Patriots game, that's the Patriots game coming up, the Saints game coming up. Saints game before the bye week. And sure enough, the oblique did affect his accuracy and did affect velocity and things like that. He admitted that. And I think the reason why he admitted that, and the reason why I asked that question, I'm an old savvy reporter, is because I think that oblique injury is kind of behind him now. I think that he got enough sufficient rest. Is it 100% healed? Maybe not. But the fact that he kind of told on himself a little bit, it's a little bit of a sign. I think if he would have been more stoic and said, no, it's fine. It didn't really affect me, I think he'd still be dealing with it. In other words, the fact that he was a little candid about it tells me it's in the rearview mirror. Yeah. A little reporter trick that I kind of played there. And I feel like that's a very genuine answer. Now, injuries can pop up at any time and you can re-aggravate them and all that. So I'm not saying he's out of the woods, but I think that this rest did that oblique injury some good. And I also believe that the oblique injury maybe affected his play in Detroit and certainly in New Orleans.
Yeah, on top of that, I think the oblique definitely played a role, but he was also dealing with like a leg injury
Yeah.
as well. He's still
Yeah.
wearing a leg sleeve on one of his legs. And to be honest, I think that may have impacted Baker as much, if not even more, because as much as he's been great throwing the football
Yeah.
this season with several touchdowns and very few interceptions, it's been Baker on the move with his legs,
Yeah.
creating plays, extending plays, rushing for first downs that I think has really put the Bucs on another level. I mean, I go back to that Houston game where he ran for 15 yards on 4th and 10 and stuff like that. And I think you saw those effects, especially the last 2 games. Now, Baker did mention as well, because that's where these were games where he wasn't really running as much. And he gave a lot of credit to the Lions defense, saying like they put a spy on him and therefore he didn't really have the lanes to rush. He said the Saints didn't do it as much, but the lanes just either weren't open or he was able to get the football out. And Baker played much better in that second half than he did the first half. So I don't know, maybe something started clicking for him then. The bye week is different for everybody. I think Baker, and you could hear it in his voice as you're kind of talking about it too. Like he loved that bye week, just having 1 week of not getting hit and knocked to the ground and stuff, because it's also partially the style of play that Baker has. It's hardcore. That's how he plays the quarterback position, is hard-nosed and hardcore. And I think a refreshed, rejuvenated Baker is coming at the perfect time with this next 3-game stretch coming up. So, I just think, to answer the question, a healthier Baker Mayfield and a more mobile Baker Mayfield is really the recipe for the Bucs offense returning to its form that it was really for every game besides the last 2.
Yeah, and I thought Jenna asked a good question about that. She asked Baker, did you have any conversations with Josh Grizzard over the bye week? He said, no, I blocked his number, so he couldn't call me. So
no,
no,
I like
that was
that
good.
too. Like I think even chatting with Graham Barton today, and you could see it on the face of Graham Barton, who let's be real, he's had kind of a difficult season this year.
Yeah, I agree.
I think sometimes the mental reset is just as, if not more important than the physical reset. So I'm expecting not a sluggish by any means, but definitely a refreshed mind.
Correct. Speaking of, well, real quick, speaking of the injuries, injury report just came out. Let me just roll through this real quick here. As we reported earlier, these are players that did not practice today: Chris Godwin, Bucky Irving, Hassan Reddick, and Marquise Watts, who is dealing with a hand injury. Luke Gedeke was limited with the foot, so he is in that 21-day open practice window where he can practice without the team having to activate him. Remember, he's on injured reserve, so they'll have to make a roster move if they want to activate Luke Gedeke for Sunday's game. And I anticipate they will if he practices well this week. These are the players that practiced in full, and this is important. So we saw Baker Mayfield last week have a limited practice with the knee and the oblique on Wednesday, a full practice on Thursday, and then back to a limited on Friday before the Saints game. So these players practiced in full. Levante David with the knee and the rib. Luke Haggard, that's an interesting name right there. With the shoulder, he was the starting right guard before he got hurt with that shoulder injury against the 49ers. Baker Mayfield with the knee and the oblique, full participant. Zion McCollum, full participant with a thumb. And Jacob Parrish was also full with his oblique injury. And then for the New England Patriots, Kayshon Boutte, wide receiver, hamstring, did not practice. Neither did Garrett Bradbury, their starting center. He had a hip injury. Christian Ellis, their starting linebacker, has a hip injury. He did not practice. Josh Farmer, a defensive lineman with an ankle, and Ramondre Stevenson, the running back, with a toe injury. All those players did not practice. They had 2 full participants. Christian Gonzalez, who is in the game day concussion protocol, he was a full participant, as well as linebacker Marte Mapu, who had a neck injury.
Yeah, so there you have it for the injury report for the Bucs. Yeah, very curious what they're going to do with the right guard position, because really everyone that started at guard has been because someone else got injured. But it looks like they're going to have the full group ready to go. And Todd Bowles didn't really give a direct answer when asked about who could start. He said, well, we'll see tomorrow because they're going to put like full pads on tomorrow. And, they can't give everyone first team reps, but I'm curious how that will go. But let's get to a couple more of these super chats, starting with a $49.99 super chat from LDBC's Most Wanted. Thank you so much for this super chat. Says, Bucs drafted Kancey with a premium draft pick because we need an interior pass rush. Gave Reddick $14 million because we need help with the pass rush outside. We drafted David Walker in the 4th round. None of them are here yet. We did nothing at the trade deadline.
That's right. I mean, yeah. This isn't Madden. This isn't where you get to grab the controller and force trades and do simulations, right? And keep pressing the buttons until the computer accepts your trade. It doesn't work that way. You can want player X, and if team's not willing to give up player X for reasonable compensation, you're not going to get him. Certain players are off the trade market. So look at the players who were traded. Were the Buccaneers going to get Quinnen Williams? No, they were not going to. Say what you want about Jalen Phillips going to the Eagles for a 3rd round pick. I don't think the Bucs were that enamored with Jalen Phillips. That would have caught, because he's in a contract year too. So either you're renting a player for a 3rd round pick, or you're obligated to re-sign Jalen Phillips. Otherwise, you're going to lose your 3rd round pick. You rented him for half a season. And I don't know that they like Jalen Phillips enough on tape. He also has blown out his ACL. He's also blown out an Achilles. That's a player that's will hit free agency next year probably, unless the Eagles want to re-sign him. But I don't know. Who else was out there? The Saints were not going to trade Rashid Shaheed to the Buccaneers in the division. It just wasn't going to happen. So who was out there that you wanted Tampa Bay to get that was traded for that the Bucs didn't get?
Right. There wasn't a big time edge rusher that was available during, this trade deadline. I'm not counting Jalen Phillips, in that category. And I don't even think the Bucs would have given a 3rd round pick.
No,
not even a 4th.
No.
Maybe a 5th.
Maybe.
For him. Maybe. And I like Quinnen Williams, but I don't think the Bucs, to me, Quinnen Williams to the Bucs doesn't put their defense over the top.
Right.
And I don't know. Everyone's always so afraid to give up all of this draft capital and stuff like that. I don't know. You look at the Jets Colts trade with Sauce Gardner, and to me, Sauce Gardner puts things over the top for the Indianapolis Colts. So it makes sense to pay a little bit extra if you're going all in. I understand the Bucs not wanting to trade a 1st and a 2nd for a defensive tackle when you do have Kalijah Kancey coming back next season. Plus, you've gotten a lot of good production from Elijah Roberts as well as a 5th round pick. Now, he's obviously not on the same level as Quinnen Williams, at least not yet. I just don't think there was that player out there for the Bucs to go, okay, we'll give up a 2nd round pick for this player. And are there times that I wish the Bucs would kind of go all in a little bit? And again, not giving up 2 1st round picks like the Colts did. But yeah, there are some times I wish they would pull the trigger a little bit more. I understand compiling all of these draft picks, but waiting for these players to develop when you can have an instant great player right away, I think there's something to that. Yes, Jason Licht has his way of success, and it's worked, winning the Super Bowl in 2020. But, they haven't gone to a conference championship game since then.
Correct.
And I know they've been way more successful than other teams, but you look at the Eagles and Howie Roseman, and he's making trades left and right. Mm-hmm. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1. He's been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 to 4 years? The Rams won a Super Bowl the year after the Bucs did, and then they were in the NFC Championship game last season, and they tend to trade and wheel and deal more than the Bucs do. So there's certainly nothing wrong with what Jason Licht is doing. He's a great general manager. He crushes it in the draft every single year, but I think sometimes he's maybe a little bit too hesitant to do those immediate impact player trades because he doesn't want to mortgage the future. And I get that. But at some point, you got to say, all right, well, when are you returning back to a conference championship? Because you have the talent now. Yeah. And it feels like you're wasting it a little bit by waiting for these other players to develop too.
Yeah, no, it didn't happen, and they're stuck with the roster, and we'll see what happens. We're also going to see what happens on Thursday night over at Raymond James Stadium. Tomorrow night, Thursday, football. UTSA comes to Tampa Bay to play the USF Bulls. The USF Bulls looking to bounce back from their loss to Memphis and right the ship. And they'll do that at Raymond James Stadium. 7:30 kickoff. This should be a fun one. UTSA beat the heck out of Tulane last week. Very good Tulane team. So this should be one heck of a game. Scan that QR code to get your tickets. I went to the USF FAU game. I might go tomorrow night. Depends on what my schedule is, but it's fun to go to USF games because the crowds are getting bigger and bigger. The wins are getting better and better. And the team is also getting better. This is a fun team to watch, offense and defense. So if you're looking for something to do tomorrow night and you're in the Tampa Bay area, why not go watch some live college football? You got nothing better to do. Go Bulls.
Yeah, support local, support a very fun team with the Bulls. They weren't in the original group of 12 for the college football playoff, but hey, couple wins and a Memphis loss. Maybe they are able to get in. And keeping with the gigantic super chats, we have a $50 super chat from Steve Shoot. Thank you so much, Steve, for the kind words. Great talking, or for the kind super chat. Says, great talking to you guys. It's been a while. Light is not going to give up long-term success for short-term gain. We weren't going to get Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson, who's out anyway. Stay the course and let's get folks healthy. Let's freaking go.
Appreciate that, Steve. Yeah, there's something to be said about that, too. Jason Light and Todd Bowles don't look at this as like the Super Bowl season. They're trying to open up a Super Bowl window. They're going to re-sign Baker Mayfield to an extension probably next year. And they're trying to build a perennial playoff team. They want to go all in every year, not just this year. And the reason and how they've been doing that is through the draft. They've been finding guys like third round picks. You're talking about a third round pick you're going to give up for Jalen Phillips. The third round pick is Tyke Smith. It's Jalen McMillan. It's Jacob Parrish, right? It's that caliber of player. A fourth round pick is Bucky Irving and Kate Otten to Jason Light, etc. So I'm with you, Steve. You'd like to see this team make some moves just for the sheer entertainment and excitement factor. But if the right deal isn't there, the right thing to do is no deal at all. You don't want to overpay for players that you're not thrilled about. I mean, we talked about like a linebacker. Logan Wilson was dealt for a 7th round pick. He is basically a special teamer at this point in his career, So sometimes people look at Madden ratings or they remember these guys being better versions of who they are based upon previous draft status, and they're just not that guy anymore. So we'll see what happens with Logan Wilson and these other players that ended up getting traded around the league.
I mean, the big thing for the Bucs is like, as far as keeping the window open and everything like that, they have the quarterback, and that's the most important thing. If you have the quarterback, you can keep your Super Bowl open a lot more, and they have the offensive line to do so when they are fully healthy. So they have the core pieces intact. But man, if they don't get to at least the conference championship game this season, I think they have to again curtail their viewpoints on going out and getting some assets. Because to me, and I'm not saying the Raiders would have agreed to this, and I understand like Max Crosby was not available, but even same case with Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals in the offseason. If it only cost a 2nd round pick, you telling me like you're not going to give up a 2nd round? Like, no, we need that 2nd round pick instead of a proven commodity like Max Crosby and Trey Hendricks. I think in that sense, you have to deviate from the playbook just a little bit. But, we can cross that bridge after this season and kind of see who might be available next offseason. But I do think if they don't reach the conference championship game this season, they have a lot of groundwork in there. I think there's a way to help this immediate team without, giving up your future by giving up one 2nd round pick and maybe another future early round. Anyway, Mark Fisher with this $1.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Says, coming down to see the Patriots game, psyched. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the game you want to go to. Two teams with one of the best records in football, young quarterback and Drake May, Baker Mayfield trying to get back into the MVP conversation. So you have a fantastic time. And hopefully the Bucs end up with a win while you're
For
in
sure.
town. And Stubby Ryan has now been a Pewter
Thank
Report
you,
YouTube
Stubby.
channel member for 10 months. Says,
Congrats.
busy bye week. Baby number 3 was thoughtful
Wow.
enough to wait for the bye week. Go Bucs. That is
That's
fantastic.
awesome. That's great news.
Congratulations,
Congrats.
Stubby Ryan, to you and your family on baby number 3. That's great news. Congratulations. Very exciting.
Yep. Evolve Official, Pewter Report TV channel member, says, great insight on the Rondé show earlier today. I was on the Rondé Barber show on WFLA, the podcast with Scott Smith from the Buccaneers, Buccaneers.com. And we made Rondé change his name to Scott Barber today. So it was Scott Barber, Scott Smith, and Scott Reynolds on the Rondé Barber show. So it was great. We had a great time. Check it out on YouTube on WFLA, the Rondé Barber show. We're going to have Rondé on probably next month. I think December, we talked about some dates. So we're looking forward to having Rondé Barber on the show. Let's spend just a quick second here to let everybody know what's going on. If you missed Monday's show, folks, you missed a good one.
To check it out.
Whoa, you got to check this out. Special guest, legendary Bucs coach John Gruden. We had Bruce Arians on the week prior on Wednesday. If you haven't seen that one, go back and look at that one too. 2 fantastic interviews with 2 legendary Super Bowl winners. Tomorrow's show, Bucs offense must get back on track. We're going to be talking to Josh Grizzard, and we're going to find out what Josh Grizzard has to say and what schemes he cooked up during the bye week. Then on Friday at 1:30, the Pewter Insider returns. Can the Bucs defense stay hot after the bye week? And, of course, we've got all the podcasts that you're going to want on Sunday before and after the game, folks. It starts off at 9 a.m. with the Pewter pregame show right here. Matt Matera and yours truly on Report TV. The Patriots and the Buccaneers kick off at 1 o'clock. You can check out our preview with the latest injury news at 9 a.m. It's live, but then it's also on our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel. So listen to it on the way to the game. If you can't get to it live, it'll be your pregame show that you're going to want to hear before kickoff. And then during the game, Matt Matera and Daniel Morales, Pewter Game Day, November 9th at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. kickoff and 1 p.m. for Pewter Game Day. Then, of course, after the game, probably around 5 o'clock, we'll have that Bucs versus Patriots post-game podcast. I'll be live from Raymond James Stadium talking with Matt, and we'll break down, hopefully, what is another Tampa Bay Buccaneer win.
Yes, would love to be talking about a Bucs win, but a lot of content coming up. Make sure you stay tuned to all of it on our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV. Moving along to these super chats. Thank you to T for this $20 super chat. Very nice of you. Says, any insight of how involved the Glazers are in trade decisions? Does Light pretty much have free reign to make, parentheses, reasonable moves if he wanted? Or is he seemingly timid approach largely due to ownership?
No, it's no. He. There's nothing timid about Jason Light. He has a
That's
fantastic working relationship with the Glazers. They're the dream owners. They don't meddle. They listen to what Jason and Todd have to say, and pretty much, given the trust factor they have with Jason Light and the fact that he's built one Super Bowl winner, attracted Tom Brady, and now he's building another Super Bowl winner with Baker Mayfield. I don't say he has carte blanche to do whatever he wants, but I don't imagine there's a lot of pushback. I think Jason's proven himself.
Yeah, the best kind of owners are the ones that the people they hired and put in charge of certain things, let them do their things and be in charge of it. The worst thing you can have is a meddling owner, an owner that gets in the middle of things and says, well, if we could just complete a pass and we had a better quarterback, that could be pretty good. Or, looking at their son saying, oh, this player doesn't have good batting ratings, don't trade for him. So Glazer's doing a great job just staying out of the way, helping the community in several ways, and having a great football team. So
yeah, that's right.
That's good to have. Let's go to Bucs fans since Leroy 63. Thank you for this $5 super chat. Says, if Evans is done, is Nick Harbor from South Carolina of interest in round 3? He's outrageously toolsy, but has flaws in technique, apparently. Is he coachable?
Yeah. I have not watched as much college football this season yet as I would like to. I'm dialing into it more. I'm thankful that the Buccaneers are 6-2 and have not really dove into draft prep and draft study yet. So in years past, Matt, back when we were in the dark days of Bucs football, we would definitely be talking draft right now in late October and early November. But we're not there yet. So I've heard of Nick Harbor. I've seen him play. I don't have enough study on him yet to really have an opinion about him.
What I will say is, in terms of coachable, I mean, Brian McClendon has done a great job as the wide receivers coach. I mean, we saw what Jalen McMillan did at the tail end of his rookie year. Emeka Buka right now, and the way that Tez Johnson has stepped up over the past couple of games with some of their other big players at wide receiver out. So I have full trust in whoever the Bucs want to bring in as a rookie or draft a rookie, that Brian McClendon will be instrumental in their development. So. Bulam Seba with a $1.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Says, are we getting Chris Godwin Jr., Bucky Irving, or Jalen McMillan back this season?
The ray of hope, and I know it was like a little dour earlier, but the ray of hope is they didn't put Chris Godwin Jr. or Bucky Irving on injured reserve. So that's an indication that they truly are week to week in terms of their status. And Todd Bowles said they're running today. So I would imagine at some point in time, we're going to see Chris Godwin attempt to go back out there on the field, and hopefully that happens. And I think Bucky Irving the same way. So Jalen McMillan, it's just a matter of time. I was told months ago it was going to be December. Didn't necessarily mean December 1st. It might be the end of December, but that's still probably at least a month, if not 2 months out. So we'll see what happens.
Patience is a virtue, and that's kind of what we've been in for a majority of the season, even with Luke Gedeke, finally coming back. To practice. I would venture that Bucky might be the first back out of those three.
Yeah.
Godwin Jr. That's a tough one. That's a real tough one right now. But we'll see. We'll see. KGH for life. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, if a team trades for a player during the season, they have to overpay. Light has made it clear that it must be the right price.
It's not even Jason Light. It's Mike Greenberg. I think Mike Greenberg is the guy that is like, no, Jason, don't do it. No, too much. No. So that's part of the equation too. And I trust Greenberg. The cap management skills that guy has they're out of this world.
Yeah. No, he's fantastic at what he does. And this is the process that the Bucs do, whether you agree with it or disagree with it. It's had pretty good results.
Yeah.
At least for the last half a decade,
for sure.
Stuff like that. So, even some things I don't necessarily always agree with, and I would at times like them to be more aggressive, but the proof is in the pudding, and they've had winning football teams that win division titles. So you can't really argue with the results too much, can you? Bucs fans since Leroy 63. Thank you for this $2 super chat. Says draft position means 0 the day after the draft.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, we'll see where the Bucs end up with their draft positioning. Right now, I mean, it's going to be a late first-round pick, right? And that's okay. You want it to be as late as possible because that means you had a really good season. So, we'll see.
Plus, you find talent in all different rounds. Even look at the quarterbacks of the past couple of years. Right now, I know Jane Daniels just got hurt, but Caleb Williams was the first pick, and he looks like the worst quarterback out of him, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels. And Caleb Williams has played a lot better this season. I'm just saying, you could find talent late in the first round. You could find talent in the fifth round. It's it's all about how you go about finding and scouting the players, which is most important.
Yeah.
Anthony Raposa, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Says, hearing Bucs about to pay Baker $70 million per year.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know that it's going to be that high. We'll see. I mean, he's a 2-time Pro Bowl. We'll see how the season ends for him and what he ends up fetching. But keep in mind, he's a team-oriented guy. He didn't play with Tom Brady, but we always saw Tom Brady take less than market value. I mean, Tom Brady was never the highest-paid quarterback ever in the league, and he understood that the pie is only so big, and the bigger piece you get, the less for everybody else, and you want to have that supporting cast. And so we'll see. I think it's going to certainly be around 60 million, right? Because that's what Dak Prescott's
I would
making.
say somewhere between 50 and 60. Dak Prescott is the highest paid quarterback right now, and I think 65 million if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But I mean, I saw that from an account called MLF Football. I think it stands for Major League Football.
Yeah.
That's one of those clickbait accounts where they just kind of say anything to get you to click on.
Yeah, I agree.
It's BS. They're kind of spam bots in a way. Yeah. So I wouldn't trust those. Mr. King has now been a Pewter Report YouTube channel member for a month now. Thank you so much for your support and becoming a new member.
Yeah.
Says, what's up with Bucky Irving? Rumors on social media is that there are some shenanigans aside from just the injury. Seems made up to me.
I haven't heard anything about that. I don't know.
He has some like weird posts on Instagram and stuff like that aren't totally making sense. There's like the Larry Foote post and all these different stuff. But I think he's just aching to play. I mean, obviously he's aching physically, but he just wants to play. He loves football. He's all about football.
Thank you for becoming a Pewter Report TV channel member. Thank you. And we'll finish up here where we have plenty to talk about the Patriots too. This might go a little bit over time here, but we just had a flurry of super chats and you guys kept the line. That's what we do. Yeah.
Meets McGee, thanks for being a YouTube channel member for 10 months. Says some fans get all hot and bothered over big names. Yeah. And you know what? I think part of it, and it's like no one's fault because, again, the Bucs are trying to put the best product on the field. But there was a time where you just had the Madden fantasy team of Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, Richard Sherman, Le'Veon Bell. And I know like Sherman and Bell, they weren't players like in their prime, and it was very long after Julio Jones. But, you know, these were all at times like all pro players or some of the biggest names in the league at the time. Right. LaShawn McCoy is like another example.
Yeah.
And for a while, I was like, hey, if the Bucs want to get that guy, hey, they're going to go get him. And they just did it over and over. And part of that was because of Tom Brady. And now Bucs fans think that they can get anybody. And it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. Let's talk a little bit. Well, we have one more. Let's do that real quick.
Mike Post says, most interesting matchups on Sunday's game. And thanks
Great segue. Great segue. I just dropped in my SR's Pick 6 preview, the Bucs versus Patriots. Check that out after the podcast. Let's talk about the Patriots here. So Drake May, certainly a very talented quarterback.
Yeah.
17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's not your typical young quarterback stat line, right? I mean, that's pretty good. And then you throw in the fact too that he really is a dual threat quarterback. He can scamper. He's got 270 yards rushing, 4.6 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. He's got a 28-yard run. Think Baker Mayfield. That's kind of like who he is as a quarterback. If you give him that open running lane, he'll take it and he'll pick up yards. The offensive line is a work in progress up front.
Yes,
he is the second most sacked quarterback, 34 sacks. He's sacked an average of 3.8 times per game. That's pretty good considering the Bucs pass rush is averaging 5 sacks a game over the last 3 games. So get to Drake May, pressure him. Maybe you force him into one of those few interceptions that he throws. To me, I think a really big matchup is going to be Will Campbell, their first-round pick, their top 5 pick, left tackle out of LSU against Yaya Diaby. This is going to be a really good matchup. And Yaya's got to come and win this, and I think he can. Will Campbell, very talented athlete, has played pretty well. He's given up 5 sacks, most on the team so far. He got worked over pretty good by Myles Garrett, no surprise. But at the same time, he has given up 4 out of his 5 sacks in the last 3 weeks. And he's given up 20 pressures. The other guy right beside him is the left guard on the team. His name is escaping me right now. Jared Wilson. There we go. Jared Wilson. And Wilson has given up 4 sacks. So that left side of the line is, I believe, the most susceptible to pressure. And if you want to put Vita Vea over there next to Yaya Diaby, you might have a nice 1-2 punch on that side, just caving in that side. At the same time, what have we seen Todd Bowles do a lot of? The weak side blitz. Jamel Dean from that side. Jacob Parrish from the slot. We've seen Winfield. We've seen Levante David. We've seen Servassier Dennis. I think you're going to see a lot of blitzing in this game to really try to get after Drake May, get him uncomfortable, not have him get in rhythm. The fact that he might not have Keyshawn Butte might certainly help the Buccaneers, but at the same time, they've got Mac Hollins, they've got Stephon Diggs, Hunter Henry, the tight end, is a pretty good tight end. So there's some weapons for him to throw to. There may not be the most household star-studded names, but they're effective, Matt.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And during the Bucs bye week, I was still watching football, and I watched every NFL game, and I watched pretty much every snap of Patriots Falcons. And my biggest takeaway in that game was, the Bucs can get to Drake May and this Patriots offensive line. Yes, Drake May is mobile, but a lot of the times he's running is not because people aren't open, but it's because the pass rush is getting after him. So I think this could be a big day for Vita Vea. I think Anthony Nelson is going to have to clean stuff up, and same with Yaya Diaby as well. And as we know, the Bucs are going to be sacks by committee, turnovers by committee. It could be Antoine Winfield Jr. It could be Tyke Smith, or whoever they want to bring. But I think this matchup for the Bucs defense kind of plays pretty well for what they want to do, because one thing that Drake May is really, really good at is throwing that deep ball. He's got perfect touch on that deep ball going deep. But also but because you have Antoine Winfield Jr. and Tyke Smith and some really good corner play with Jamel Dean and Zion, I don't think that the Patriots are going to have that deep ball opportunity like they've had in other games. When you add in the Bucs being able to get to Drake May and bringing in those blitz, he's probably going to have to get rid of the ball maybe a half a second earlier than he was able to against the Falcons and some other teams. And also, the Patriots offense really slowed down in that second half when Booty was out for the rest of the game with that hamstring injury. Yes, Stephon Diggs is a great wide receiver and probably having a bit of a resurgence with Drake May and coming to the New England Patriots. But I don't know if those deep shots are going to be there like they were in previous weeks because of the poor pass protection by the Patriots. Now, the one area where I think the Patriots are really going to exploit the Bucs, and we've kind of talked about this before, but Drake May also does like going to Hunter Henry. And while it's been the running backs that have hurt the Bucs linebackers in a lot of games this season, I think it's going to be the tight ends that might give the Bucs the most fits on Sunday in Tampa Bay's home game.
Yeah, when you look at the running backs, that they can catch the ball out of the backfield too. That's always a problem with Servassier Dennis, Levante David in coverage. And really they've got kind of a two-headed monster with Travion Henderson, 283 yards. And there's Ramondre Stevenson right there, 279 yards. So they're almost identical in terms of the rushing yards. Henderson, the rookie, 4.2 yards per carry. Stevenson, 3.4. 3 touchdowns for Stevenson, 1 for Henderson. In terms of the passing game, they're very similar. Henderson is not the pass protector that Stevenson is. So that's something to keep an eye on third downs. Stevenson's averaging 10.6 yards per catch. Not the same, stat line for Henderson, 6.6 yards. But you mentioned Hunter Henry, and the tight end is a young quarterback's best friend. 368 yards, 4 touchdowns, definitely a red zone weapon, almost 13 yards per catch. Still getting it done. He's been around the league, right? But I agree. I think that this is the player that you probably have to be on the lookout for is Hunter Henry. On the defensive side, it's really interesting because they've got 2 really good playmakers, and one of their big free agent signings has been a hit. Milton Williams has been a hit. He has really done a good job of applying some pass rush. Christian Barmore, the other first-round pick, former first-round pick of the Patriots. That's a tough 1-2 punch. New England's run defense is number 1 in the league. They're averaging 75 yards per game. They did a pretty good job shutting down Atlanta. And it's not just those 2 guys. It's the edge rushers as well. Mike Vrabel, former defensive end for the New England Patriots, got Harold Landry and Calabon Chason. Both of those guys form a nice 1-2 punch, 5.5 sacks each for those players. And we'll see how in shape Luke Ketteke gets, because he's got Harold Landry. That's a tough matchup. Landry is a little undersized. He's very quick. He's twitchy. He's certainly experienced. He's 28, 29 years old. He's been in the league for a minute. But this is a front four that they can shut down the run and get after the passer. It's a pretty complete front four, Matt.
They absolutely are. I think they're a really tough defense that, they travel. They're not just like a home team defense. They can get the job done on the road. And there's probably, even with the Bucs 6-2 record, there's probably going to be a good amount of Patriots fans at this game as well. And so besides that, I mean, the Bucs have talked a lot about regaining their form in the running game and getting back to kind of what they were last season and being more efficient running the football. I don't think you could pick a worse opponent to try to rewrite the ship against than the New England Patriots. So that's definitely a matchup to watch. But to me, I think a big thing in this matchup, and I do expect a lot of Baker Mayfield, hopefully being the Baker when he's on his P's and Q's and when he's being great. I look at the wide receivers against former Buccaneer great and Super Bowl champion Carlton Davis.
Right.
And we'll see if Christian Gonzalez is able to come back, because last week Drake London had a field day against Christian Gonzalez, at least in the end zone. He scored 3 touchdowns in that game. And it's one of those, you go, man, if you had Mike Evans for this game, looking at that target.
Yeah.
But Emeka Egbuka had a week off to rest that hamstring.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's been bad or anything like that, but he certainly has slowed down a little bit since his insane start. And, maybe it's not fair to kind of hold him to that same start. But Emeka Egbuka's got to be the star of the show for the Bucs offense.
I agree.
He's got to be that guy. The guy that led the team in receiving. I love Tez Johnson, but I don't know. He can't be your Rock of Gibraltar. He can't be the guy that's getting it over and over and over. They're going to need a big game from Emeka Egbuka and Tez Johnson too, but winning those matchups against those really good and stout cornerbacks that obviously Bucs fans are very familiar with in Carlton Davis, it's going to be really tough. I'm intrigued. I'm eager for the matchup. We haven't really seen Tez Johnson have to win a lot of one-on-one battles. Now he's just been thrust into this role, but Emeka Egbuka, I think this is a big week for him to, really separate himself from the other rookie wide receivers and really just rookie draft class of still being that same stud, even without the help of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin Jr.
Yeah, I'm with you. And, this is, it's interesting because this Buccaneer team is going to want to establish the run, and how patient are they going to be? I mentioned the front four. They actually run a 3-4 defense. And listen, Graham Barton struggled this year against really big nose tackles, and he's got another one in Kairos Tonga, the former 7th round pick. I liked him coming out back in 2021 out of BYU. 6'2", 335 pounds. He's like their version of Vita Vea, not as talented, of course, but just a big, massive dude in the middle that can push the pocket. And so they'll go to 4-man pass rush and nickel, but their base defense is a 3-4, and that's where they shut down the run with Barmore, with Milton Williams, who is quicker and a little bit undersized, 290. He can penetrate, but then they got the really big guy in the middle, Kairos Tonga. So it's going to be a little tough sledding for the Buccaneer run game this week, and they're certainly going to try it. They need to. They got to be balanced. They saw what happened in Detroit. When you're not balanced, you can't have Baker Mayfield throw 50 times, and that's not going to be the recipe for success. What is the recipe for success, though, is watching the game over at Walk-Ons. And if you can't make it to Walk-Ons to watch the game, but maybe you want Walk-Ons food at your house, maybe you're having a watch party, well, Walk-Ons Catering serves up wins. Take your event to the next level, whether it's for business or pleasure. Their new catering program is here. You can order directly online or in the app. It's catering.walkons.com. So make sure you check out catering.walkons.com. And if you want to get to Walk-Ons to watch the game, you can do that. You can enjoy their starting lineup sampler. The fan favorite is back, and you can do that in any of the 3 Tampa Bay area Walk-Ons locations: Wesley Chapel, Midtown Tampa, and Lakeland. I was just at the Wesley Chapel location last night having some beers and food with John Gilmore, former Bucs tight end, friend of the program. And you can enjoy those happy hours. They've got them today, Wednesday, 3 to 6 and 9 to close. And they'll have that again tomorrow, 3 to 6, 9 to close. Fantastic happy hour. $3.99 domestic pints, $5 premium house pours or happy hour wines, 22-ounce domestic drafts, hush puppies, onion rings, boom boom shrimp, the half order of the waffle cheese fries, spinach and artichoke dip, boneless wings or cheeseburger sliders, all under $10. You can't beat that. Eat like a winner, drink like a champ at Walk-Ons.
I was at walk-ons on Saturday watching all of the college football I possibly could. Thankfully, with all those TVs.
All the TVs, man. There's not a bad seat in the house.
Had a fantastic time. Had some wings. Was watching with some friends. Had the Caesar salad with some grilled chicken as well.
Really good.
That was healthy and delicious all at the same time. So can't recommend walk-ons enough.
Yep.
Before we get out of here, we have one more super chat to get to. Thank you for these $1.99 super chats from X Factor Gaming 699, who says, would you like to push the trade deadline to the end of November?
I don't think so, because then it maybe teams start tanking, and then maybe they get greedy with their, with getting rid of players. I don't know. I kind of like it where it is. It's kind of like, or get off the pot. It's like, you got to make a decision. You want a guy now, or, you're not going to be able to prolong this thing into almost December and then just add to your roster right at the end. So it's kind of like, I think this is a pretty good spot. It feels right for the trade deadline to have it. I'm glad they pushed it back to when they did.
Yes.
But it feels right about this halfway point. So
I'd be good with this week, with last week, or even if they want to extend it to like the end of this week, or I guess technically like Tuesday of next week. I think that's fine too, but it's in a good spot.
I agree. Here's another good spot for you too. The folks over at Immuni Financial, they're doing a free webinar right now. We tell you about this take the 2-minute quiz for your retirement savings. You can do that. You can scan that QR code right there, and you can check that out. But they also have a really cool endeavor that's coming up next Wednesday. It's a free webinar, and it's a market conversation with Joe Terranova. He's one of the big financial experts, I believe, on CNBC. November 12th at 4 p.m. It's free. All you have to do is go to immuni.com/Joe, and you can join that. It's absolutely free. There's no obligation to become an Immuni Financial customer, but they'd love to have you. It's next Wednesday, November 12th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. You can register at immuni.com/Joe. And while we're giving out people's names, we're going to do that with our Pewter Platinum members and give them a shout out. And here they are right here. And we greatly appreciate all of our Pewter Platinum members.
Yes, that's right. Thank you to Scott Federico, Scotty J, Rachel Gordon, Noah Parr, Dave Anderson, Eric McMillan, Hezo813, Ash Fishpool, Joel L. Rican, Sam, John Dale Morris, Zach Brannigan, RP89, Connor For Reals, Kevin Thomas, Mario Thomas, Leighton Carter, Brandon Riley, The Guy Is Gifted, Alec Bickler, Nick Dubuque, Dominic Tarantino, HK Bucs, The Real Maverick, Brayon Pinkney, Brian Shucker, Black Gold 1999, Steven Zool, King James 813, Brian Green, Henry Higante, Robert Machine, and Todd Pittner. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support of PewterReport.com and Pewter Report TV. And also thank you to our Pewter Premier members and anybody that has rejoined or leveled up.
Yeah. And we're talking about Brandon Hardman, Seth Johnson, Lucas Crane, Min Centrin Bailey, Seth Dumont, Evolve Official, Social Mako, Game On, Y.O. Bucko, Cecil, Gustavo Espinoza, Henry Gigante, Cobra HD, Eric McMillan, Buck fan since Leroy 63, and Robert Matchin. Thank you so much for either leveling up or rejoining or joining the Pewter Reports TV YouTube channel membership program. Greatly appreciate that. And if you want to become a member, it's easy to do so. All you have to do is hit the join button on Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel. Also hit subscribe. We're on the way to 22,000 thanks to you. And pick the membership level that fits your budget the best. Everybody gets loyalty badges and emojis, custom emojis. You can use those in the chat. It's awesome. You can use it for article commenting. The Pewter Premier and Pewter Platinum members get access to our Pewter Insider Show. That's going to be Friday at 1:30. Matt Matera and I will have the latest news just after practice. And the topic is, can the Bucs defense stay hot after the bye week? That's going to be our Pewter Insider bonus podcast on Friday for our Pewter Premier and Platinum members. Tomorrow's podcast for everybody. The Bucs offense must get back on track. We'll talk to Josh Grizzard, and Matt and Adam will have the latest from that. make sure on Sunday you're up and at 'em at 9 a.m. for the Pewter pregame show, followed by at 1 o'clock, which is the time for the kickoff of Bucs Patriots, Pewter Game Day with Matt and Daniel. And then, of course, the Pewter post-game show, Bucs and Patriots. I think the Buccaneers are going to win this one, Matt. I feel pretty good about this.
Let's hope so. Before we close out the show, we got one more super chat to get to. Thanks to John Nien for the $4.99 super chat. Says, thoughts on Devin Colt playing more slot since we lost Mike and missed that big-bodied wide receiver?
I don't know. He's a tight end. He's not a wide receiver. He's not a guy that you're going to flex out. He's like a 4-5 guy. He's just more of like a tight end than a receiver. I mean, I think in Madden you can make that move, but I don't know that that's the case here. Thank you, Tyler.
They're not going to put him at wide receiver, but I mean, there's times the Bucs will go trips and like Kate Otten is lined up out there with two receivers. Yep. I wouldn't mind that. I'm all for giving Devin Colt a little bit more playing time. Yeah. Not a ton, but just a little bit more. See what he can bring to the offense, especially since it's kind of stalled out the last 2 weeks. Now, if they get back on track this week without much of Devin Colt and they're scoring 30 points, then fine, go back to what's working. But I just think he's got a little something there as a receiving tight end. Why not lean into it just a tad more with this offense?
I agree.
I'd like to see that a little bit. Just a little.
I agree.
All right, that's going to do it for us on today's show. If you're not already doing so, please make sure you're following us on all of our social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We're at Pewter Report, and our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment on this video how you think it's going to go in the Bucs versus Patriots game coming up on Sunday at Raymond James Stadium. All right, that's it. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.